Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a quick review of the court process and the court procedure in regards to my court case from when I first lodged my applications with the courts in the civil jurisdiction from the 4th of July 2016 up to I think the last judgment, if I can recall rightly. I think it was on the 20th of, let me just have a look, and I think it was on the, here it is right here. It was on the 20th of December 2018. So I've actually been just taking my time about which direction to go with my court case procedure and everything. And today I made a decision, it's been on my mind for a while, to actually go through the processes, the list of judges and the case officers involved in this case that's now in the criminal jurisdiction. Just one moment. Okay, so after I went through to the Supreme Court, the next process is actually to go through the Judicial Conduct Commissioner. So after that was the next process where I made official complaints through the Judicial Conduct Commissioner, and this is the date round about the 28th of February 2018. All right, so the case itself, from personal experience with what I've gone through personally, I've definitely been a lockout situation, and that is what the evidence will show in the criminal jurisdiction now. So what I'm going to do is just actually go through the process of the judiciary, where I actually made official complaints to the Judicial Conduct Commissioner, because that is the process. So what I did was, because I'm adamant that it is unlawful strikes. I did win all my cases at that time, and the Crown in this case had no evidence to support a judgment to even be made in their favour. So I made an official complaint to the Judicial Conduct Commissioner. And also got to keep in mind, everything nowadays, we actually have to send everything by email, and hub desk is no more one-on-one front counter where we are actually talking to human beings. So everything's now is done by email or phone call. But I am definitely a lockout situation, isolated, excelled, or whatever you want to call it, but from my point of view, that is the experience of everything that I've gone through, that I am a lockout situation while I'm actually trying to go forward with these court cases. So here are the list of all the judges that is involved in my cases. So we've got Judge McHardy, and this is for when they used the Mental Health Act on me. They had no sufficient evidence whatsoever. It went through court, but at this stage, it was still like the early stages of the court hearing, a discovery of finding out that the medical practitioners actually had no, they weren't qualified to do a mental health assessment, as that was the outcome after going through the whole court procedure. But this is the early stages here. We've got Judge McHardy, he was in a district court. Then we have Judge Sharp, and then we have Judge Chalice. Then we got Justice Hinton. We got Justice Gordon, who made an order twice. It was the same judge. I'm just feeling my way with the court procedure. It shouldn't have gone on as long as it has, but it is against people within the government jobs. So, but this is what happened. So Judge Gordon, the case officer for that was Anna Ollie, who was the case officer and the deputy registrar. So they case managed the High Court cases during this time, and then there was Steve McHugh, who's no longer, he's passed on. Then we've got, so I went through the district and then I went through the High Court procedure, trying to put some closure, because I knew that they were, I knew I'd won my case. I'd done everything correctly. I'm pretty experienced, keeping in mind I have actually case managed these kind of things. It was part of my role as a court deputy registrar, so I'm pretty experienced in that. So I knew what I put together was legit and legal, and it was sufficient for it. But all the in between, the case managing, unfortunately, now my case is a criminal case, because they are definitely unlawful strikes. And not only that, I did actually prove at the court hearings in front of Judge Chalice and also in front of Judge Gordon. She was a female, and the case officer, let's just go through quickly so you can all see for yourself who was involved in the cases. So we've got Heidi Schumann in this email, just quickly. Then we have, because I think this is all really important, she was a service manager for the disputes and tenancy at the Auckland District Court. So she's had something to do with my case. In between all this, I'm actually making complaints about the handling of my case. I knew that they were sabotaging. It was terrible. The counsels were Paul White, and he was the barrister for the ministry, if I can remember rightly, for the Ministry of Health back in, when was this? Back in 2016. So he was for Key Chambers, and the other one was Hannah. Let me just go through the docs. Going to keep the evidence real. Okay, so here's Anna Ollie. She was the court deputy registrar for the civil appeals, but she was in the High Court. She case managed my cases that went before Justice, here it is, Her Honour, Justice Gordon. It went through to her twice. And I have to say it was the case. Everything was sabotaged. Even though I had proven at the court hearing they had no case, but they didn't write the judgments in my favour. And the Crown had no, they had no evidence for even the judge to write judgments in their favour. So let me keep going with this. So Anna Ollie, she is the one that case managed this case at the High Court on or about 2017. It is carried on to 2018 before Judge Gordon. There was actually two judgments made by the same judge. So the other Crown was Hannah Stewart. She was from Key Chambers also, and she represented City Med, right? And then, these are the people that was actually added. You can see their names. I'm just keeping this real because the case is now in the criminal jurisdiction. Right. So here we've got the list of judges that I put a complaint against, because that was the complaint. I was actually pretty much concerned at this stage of my court hearing, because that I knew that they were unlawful strikes, and it shouldn't have taken so long, but it did. So from that, I was advised I had to go through the Court of Appeal, which I did, and the Court of Appeal, it went through, because I've never actually done the Court of Appeal process ever, so this was a first time for me too. So the judges for the Court of Appeal was this is on or about 11th of July 2018, and it was J. Clifford, and his decision was in favour of the registrar's decision. So the judge didn't even make a decision I'm appealing the judge's judgment. So that's everything I had submitted. I was actually appealing the judge's judgment, okay? But I was having problems with the court registrar at this time, and there's a clear pattern of sabotage. I don't even know what you want to call it, but hasn't been for myself. It's been horrific because I can't go forward. I'm basically pinned down doing all this hard work, and I feel like they're just stealing it. But this is the person who, his name was Chris Abraham, and he was the court assistant manager. That says here, this is his title, and a deputy registrar for Court of Appeal. All right, so he's the one that was case managing the case. So at the time when it got to the Court of Appeal, we had his issue was the name of the party was his issue, and the other one was, I know he's saying that I was out of time, but I know that I wasn't out of time. I'm pretty efficient sort of a person. I know everything has a time frame, so I always try to make the effort to make the time frame, which I've done with nearly all of my court cases. I have actually met the time frame for everything, except the odd occasion when something come up when I haven't been well or things unexpected has happened, and then but I'd always let them know or ask for an extension, because that's what we can do. So Chris Abraham, he didn't want to take on board he didn't want to accept my documents for filing with the judge, because he said that I needed to change the names of the party, okay? Because on the judgments here, we'll go through it. See, the names of the party, there was actually two statement of claim. One was submitted on the 4th of July 2016, and then there was a second amended one that was actually submitted roughly on or about, I think it was on the 28th of July. It was anyway, but the amended one, I went through the whole process. It was advised to me by the other court registrars that's what I needed to do. And if I can just quickly find out who those registers were, let me see. All right, so we have this female here. She's a team leader. Her name is Wendy Pukiiti. She was in the High Court. She had some involvement in the case also. Then we have Gordon Solomon and Peter Gaiman and Sisi Anaoli. These are the people that was actually the registrars involved in this whole case of mine. Hang on. Other registers was Fiona Parks, Steve McHugh. He was actually the main person that was case managing. I'd say out of all the case officers, he's the one who basically did everything correctly to the laws. And then there was Heidi Schumann. I made complaints to them, and then there was Wendy Pukieti, right? But what I had found during the processes of my case, there's trading and influence involved in this matter. Just one moment. Okay, so I'm gonna do in between the laws of what's my personal experience of what's happened. So we've had the court registrars they're actually trading influence. That's what it's called. That has the penalty of 7 years imprisonment, meaning something has happened where instead of that there is that bias or prejudice against the other party. Somehow in between they've sabotaged my case or made sure that the judge makes a wrong judgment, which in this case that's what's happened. They're called unlawful strikes. So I'm not pointing a finger at anyone in particular, but I believe this is what has taken place with my court case. So usually in an audit procedure for serious fraud, people will be audited according to the laws. The judiciary, even though it's the court registrar, if we can just go through here, because I think this is really, really important. Let's just see. Because once you have perjury going on, that's what a breach does. So I felt that what has happened is that everyone's trying to help each other not lose their job, and before you know it, everyone's broken the law. So if there's an audit, the judges can actually make a complaint or go through their processes and complain about the courts or the deputy registrars handling the case and misleading them. All right. So if they've left out giving the judges the information, because the court registrar's first priority is to protect the judge and to make sure that the judge doesn't make any unlawful strikes, because that's very serious, all right? So they could be charged for misleading justice because that is their priority, is to make sure that the judges do not make any unlawful strikes. But somehow in between, the judge has made judgments in the favour of the defendants. They had no evidence whatsoever. So that would come under misleading justice. So anything misleading in court, like if you lie to the judge about something, that is that strict, all right? Okay, so if you mislead the judge, it comes under perjury. And the judges are quite hard on that. Keeping in mind that part of the code of conduct for any public office like deputy registrar, crown, lawyers, barrister, police officers, anything like that, their service and their code of conduct has to be integrity and honour. So there's a law just specifically only on that. But it's that tight. If you step out of that and you're not in line, your actions or whatever your job description was, and if you're not in line, you could, obviously lose your job automatically, and you also could be laid criminal charges for doing that. Okay. So I'm just going to go, I think it was, if I can remember on top of my head. Now the purpose, before we carry on, I think this is really irrelevant. The purpose of why we have laws is to protect the integrity of the courts, of any constitution, with government, because that's why they're there for, is to protect innocent civilians from corruption and, all kinds of bad stuff from happening to them. I'm just gonna, here it is. Yeah, this is why we have these laws. Whether it's civil jurisdiction or whether it is the criminal jurisdiction, the judge's priority is to they are bound to the laws. Okay, everyone is bound to the laws, no matter what kind of job you're doing. You're all bound to the laws because it is the laws that you have to know. Otherwise, if you stepped out of that, you will be charged or lose your job. That's how it happens. So this here is the crimes affecting the administration of law and justice. That actually is meant to be for everybody, like everybody, even a police officer, everyone for fiduciary duty. Their priority is affecting the administration of law and justice. They are obligated to do what they're supposed to do according to the laws. So if the law says that your job description, if you are meant to do all this, you are meant to do all that. If you don't, you could be charged for impeding rescue, for perverting the course of justice. It's that strict. So in my case, none of this has taken place because they are all unlawful strikes. All right. So we now have judiciary corruption according to the laws as a criminal case. So judiciary corruption is 14 years imprisonment, and according to the law, judiciary is the judge or the court registrar, deputy registrar. They're in the same alignment or the same line of umbrella of responsibility, because they're the ones who they have a power of authority. I've also, my role when I worked for the courts, when I first started off and right through to when my career ended, I was a court deputy registrar for the courts. So, but when I was trained all this, and my priority was to protect the judge and to stay within the confinement of the laws accordingly, no matter who it is, because that's why we have laws, so nobody just go and do their own thing or put their own belief and just. That's why we have laws, and whoever created the laws is pretty smart, because there is definitely a consistency flow of integrity if everyone just obeyed the law, right? So the registrar or the deputy registrar, they are liable for 7 years imprisonment for corruption. So if there's a consistency of corruption or of issues of one individual's court case, that's very serious. That's a sign that the system is corrupt. It's a sign that the public safety are at its they're at risk, because that's why we have laws. The public safety comes first. Not only that, if the system is corrupt, even the people working for the government, they're at risk, because you can't have corrupt people working, because believe me, I've been there and done that. I'm lucky to even come out of it and talk about it. But this is why we have laws, and why integrity is so important, and why it's so strict, what a breach is. But these laws here is what the judiciary will be liable to if they haven't done everything correctly. This also bounds anybody else, like the Minister of the Crown. There's a whole list here. Anybody in Parliament, anybody with an enforcement officer. The law clearly covers everyone. This includes those who work in the call centres and hub desks. They are not free to do whatever they want. In my personal experience, they have not had the right to actually handle my file, right? Because when I've gone on to look at the law clearly indicates who should be handling or case managing a person's file for the very reason so a person doesn't go through a trafficking ring like what I have gone through. And then people just secretly using me for a pecuniary advantage, whatever that may be. But this here, it's a Crimes Act. His interpretation of it here clearly indicates, there you go, these are all the people that falls under, they're obligated to not do anything corrupt. You just don't. Even if you're some kind of, you got your cultural beliefs or your religious beliefs, that doesn't come in. Okay, it means nothing when you've been charged your religious beliefs and your cultural beliefs. It means nothing. If you've broken some pretty serious laws, that's why we have laws. It's so strict that, perjury is really easy to commit. So that's what's happened to my case. All right. Perjury is also, it's a contempt of court. It's an automatic loss to the other party. So I'm just going to carry on with this. I will actually put this up. And then I'll do a separate one because my case is now a criminal case, and this helps the criminal judge or the criminal crown to put a case together. And because it is my case, and when it goes to criminal, I'm an automatic victim. I say I've always been the victim, but I haven't acted like the victim because I've been the plaintiff, but it's been horrific. I have not found anything funny with what they've done. So now we've got to, I went through to the Court of Appeal, and these are the judges, Judge Clifford. So Judge J. Clifford, and then there was okay, I have to say though, out of all the judges that I felt was the most, out of all the judges that wrote their judgments, was signed, and I'd say close to what it should be, where they sign it and then they seal it. They don't seal them anymore. But personally, all I see is fraud, and now I know why. Because I am a witness to this new age system. But Judge Chalice, I'd say, would be the only judge that actually signed it. The only judgment that there's evidence that she actually cited it. Her judgment, she had found the Ministry of Health liable. That's Dr. John Joseph and the other, when the time when they used the Mental Health Act on me. So they actually lost the Ministry of Health here. She actually sent another hearing. All that is exhibited and in court. So, but now you can understand, after just showing you guys the laws, why, the cybercrime takes place, where everyone's secretly trying to, save their own necks, save themselves from getting charged criminal charges. That's what's happened. That is what's happened, and they've had the upper hand because, one, they've done They have dug up my past and they did a scientific experiment on me without my consent while I was working for my employer. I knew that all these things were happening. And I was just like just a sitting duck. But this is the reason why people do do what they're doing. They're cybercrime and breaking into people's houses and breaking any law because they're trying to help each other, not be charged or for any public embarrassment that they're the criminals. So they're fighting for their reputation. But this is the reason why people get attacked. All right. So the first statement of claim stated here was against six. It was against 6 doctors. If you've watched I won't go over it because this is all on YouTube. But I had first put the names of the party singular. Both formats that I actually submitted to court actually were both acceptable through the court procedure. So everything has got to go through the court procedure and for it to even be accepted. So I did pass all that, but then I was advised that I needed to change the names of the party to corporate body, which I did. And then they made me pay $75. And that was the argument with the Court of Appeal, Court Registrar Chris Abraham. And I did everything, but I felt that whoever's monitoring and surveillancing me is glued to everything that I'm doing, like following me and then doing the switching and the sabotaging in between me, sending it to them to their hub desk. But they everything is prolonged, and it's prolonged so then they can continue on doing what they're doing. Before you know it, there's no time frame, but it just allows them to come into your home, which I've had the consistent problem of people just coming into my home when they want to, but they're actually cheating and they're trying to sabotage and help each other win a case by cheating. That is what I call it. So I'm sick of it, obviously. That's why I went public, and now I have everything. It's a real easy case to undo as far as criminal procedure is concerned. All right, so that's what happened at the Court of Appeal, and the judges made judgments in favour of the registrar, nothing to do with the actual judgments itself. So you can see here, Judge Clifford had made a judgment in favour, actually made a judgment in favour of the registrar's decision, nothing to do with the actual appeal, which is the reason why I was appealing in the first place, was to appeal Judge Gordon's decision, but the registrar didn't make it easy for me. But everything is intentional, okay? It was intentional. And saying that, he wanted me to actually change my documents to how it was set by Judge. He wanted me to write the documents with the names of the defendant singular instead of the names of the party under the corporate body. That is what this case officer had asked me to do, which I declined to do because legally things like that needs to be dealt with in or open court, and it can only be done by a judge. Like an amendment of anything is meant to go before a judge. A registrar cannot tell a party to do something because the case has to be heard before the judge, and it's actually the judge who has to make that amendment. Okay, so that is the reason why I didn't change it, because one, I was correct that the names of the party should be the corporate body, and that was proven with all the evidence I submitted. I just felt like I was just repeating myself, and they just ignored it. And basically they were telling me to break the law. They were telling me to write down what they think should be on my document, when it's my file. I paid $75 to the courts to change it to the corporate body after the advice and guidance by the other court deputy registrars who were actually case managing. So this is, as you can see, this is what's happening. So Chris Abraham was telling me that I had to change the names on my documents to the names of the defendants singular instead of the corporate body, but I refused to because that legally by law the correct names of the party is the corporate body. So I don't know what happened in between, but that is the reason why the judge made a decision. He did not make a decision against the appeal against Judge Gordon, because the appeal was actually against Judge Gordon and Judge Chalice. So as you can see, the Court of Appeal, none of the judges have actually even looked at the judgments. So I've got this block thing going on where the registrar wants to pick a fight over a name of a party, but legally by law they are not actually allowed to tell a party they have to change something. That is something that has to be done in court. It has to be done in open court, and keeping in mind it is my case, so because it's my case, I get I'm supposed to get first priority over the defendant. But clearly you can see a biased decision made by Chris Abraham for Court of Appeal. So that was the block, right? And so the judge here, which is Judge Clifford, he did not make a decision against the judgment or the appeal of Judge Gordon, even though I had submitted that, right? And then we're just going to go through that. The other one was Judge Brown. Let's have a look. Yeah, the other one was Justice Brown. The same thing happened. He made a decision also in favour of the court deputy registrar. He can say that I was out of time, but I didn't. I swear on the Bible, everything was in time. I was having issues in my home with hacking. I'm being twin cloned, so like I'm cloned or twinned to the substitute or whoever they have, surveillancing me on my laptop or in my home and wherever I'm going. So I'm just indicating that is what's been happening with my court case. So Judge Brown also made the same decision in favour of the registrar, right? I was never out of time in anything. I'm very efficient. I met time with everything. And if I was ever out of time, I would always ask them, I need time extension, because things happen. But most of the time I wasn't, I met everything in the exact time frame. However, even though after I did everything I did, the judge still made a judgment in favour of the court deputy registrar. So that tells me that the judge hadn't even looked at all the evidence that I had submitted. Now, what I also can say from my perspective, as it's my file, as the person case managing it, doing the paralegal and research, I have had the suspicion that whoever was following me was also had their people in place as far as, when I go and mail, I'm telling you, that's how it's been. I've been walking around with this person, some invisible people, they're using different people all the time, but I felt they were stealing my idea or stealing my work. And it also explains the unlawful everything. And I'm pretty experienced, and, I do know what I do know. I'm pretty experienced, and I do know the laws and the court system really well, because that was my occupation. as a court deputy registrar, case managing high profile files. And I came from the old system where the judge was, first priority. Everything was just top notch. You couldn't make a mistake. But I had the suspicion that somebody, part of the scientific experiment of whatever you want to call it, but everyone has taken turns using me, and they're following me like a twin. They're following the evidence like a twin, and it's an in-between where when documents are missing, they're reading it, they're stealing it. And that is my experience, and I would swear on the Bible that is my suspicion. That's what's happened. All right. So with that, it went through to the Supreme Court. Now let's see. Let's bring up who is the Supreme Court here. And by the way, while we're talking, there is nothing in law that supports anybody doing what they've done to me. Okay? Everything is now criminal. Okay, so the person that case managed my case was this female. Let's have a look. Real hardcore evidence is Sue Leo Pepe. Okay, so you also got to keep in mind all these judges, all these court registrars, all these people that work for the government all have families, they all have friends, they all have their own beliefs. So common sense says when your privacy is gone and you're exploited, you are at risk of being personally attacked, like I have been historically, where people can just steal your work and you have nothing to show for it because somebody else is enjoying the benefit of what they're doing. It's absolutely illegal, but this is what you call a conspiracy, right? My case now. So this lady is the lady that was case managing my case. I ended up making an official trip to go and serve my appeal, and the courts refused to take the appeal. All right. So here's the email. The people that served me was Peter Greenhow and Sue Lau Pepe, and then we got Kieran McCarran. They were the people that served me over the counter. That's on my YouTube channel, but they're the ones I took an overnight trip to go all that way just to serve the document, and then I ended up staying with family. I did book a place to go and stay one night and then come back home the next day because I just wanted to go serve my documents. So I travelled all the way to Wellington just to serve my documents because of all the sabotaging, obviously, only for the only for Supreme Court refusing to take my document, even though I'd asked if I could speak to I had actually asked if I could speak to a manager, or actually I think one of them was a manager, I'm not sure. I think Kieran McCarran or whatever his name. I think he might be the manager, don't quote me on that. But anyway, I did also ask, look, because of the urgency, I knew my case was urgent, if they can give my documents to a judge to have a look at. And because in the olden days you can actually ask that over the counter, because I know it's a high priority file. I knew I was being sabotaged and I was being personally attacked, pinned down. I couldn't go forward. And I just, like anybody just want to go forward. But she refused to even allow a judge to look at my appeal. She took a copy of the appeal and then just left it there. And that was the end of that for the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court judges was Justice William Young, and then we got Justice Glazebrook, and then we got Justice O'Brien. Here we go. And the application for leave to appeal is dismissed. Okay. I have not found what I've gone through personally funny. Like, it has not been fun. It's been horrific. So, see in here in the appeal, the judge is saying that the Court of Appeal is claiming that I was out of time, but I wasn't. I swear to God, I wasn't. Okay? They, whoever I was twinning to, like, I'd turn around, then they'll come into, they're just taking turns, sabotaging me and stealing. It is a trafficking in persons case, 100%. So, yeah. So that was the end of that. That was the Supreme Court. So my case, I can actually say it has exhausted the system. Okay. So from that, I will end this one here for now. And then I will continue with another one, with another clip, because now this one here is 46 minutes long. Yeah, this one here is 46 minutes long, but that's okay. I'm going to put it up just the way it is for now because I think it's relevant. But my next clip, I will be going through the new process of the judiciary review, and I will put up the names of all the parties that, I mean, if the system's not working, you know, that's very serious. But, you know, it's taken me a long time to understand what's going on here. But I can verify that even though my court cases, I'm here in New Zealand doing what I'm doing, I have been actually globally exploited. It explains why everything is sabotaged, and I've got nothing to show for all the years of me trying to clear all these things in the criminal, or like in the civil jurisdiction, because they already know who I am. But I hope you can just understand the difference of of being sabotaged and being blocked and being trapped in your circumstances. It is a criminal jurisdiction, especially it's global. I can actually prove that now. I mean, it's taken a long time to actually prove that, but I have been subject to being like a global product or an app kind of a thing, and everyone's taking turns stealing like a sport. The other thing I've found is that some of these people are breaking pretty serious laws, and then they are helping each other. Okay, so no one is safe, especially if it's global. And I've also have found that the mix match evidence in my profile is consistent with, they keep switching people. They're doing the same thing in the job, like in their jobs. Like if I go to do an application, I've got different people. No one has case managed my case like one person. Like people globally are actually flying here, and that's where all the stalking comes from. It just hasn't stopped. They know who I am, and that's how it's been. Right, so I think I'll leave it there for now. So this is the Judge Gordon. She was the same judge. But I will do a separate clip, because this one here now is a bit too long. It's 49 minutes. Just on the judiciary review process, and then I will go through the names of everyone that was in this case. But the Ministry of Health is now definitely, charges are definitely being laid against them. So what I also have found that the other reason to explain why people are doing what they're doing, it is because some of them are actually probably being charged for things, and then they know that I'm trying to defend myself. So the system I have found is set out where they want to have a secret look before it goes to the actual higher authority, either to sabotage or to block. But that's what I've been subject to, and now my case is very serious in every sense of the word. All right, I will finish it there, and I will do a next one soon, just in around the judicial review, and then on to the criminal. Okay, all right, bye.